Within the first layer of the Arabian Nights, a fisherman is bargaining for his life. Facing a powerful genie intent on killing him, the fisherman begins to tell a story, using narrative as a stalling tactic to keep himself alive. As he speaks, the perspective shifts. We enter a second layer of reality, featuring a Greek king and his vizier. The king is pushed toward a violent decision. The vizier pressures him to execute the physician Dobin, an innocent man. Sensing that the king is hesitant to authorize the murder without cause, the vizier pivots. He stops arguing about the physician's guilt and instead offers the king a fable about a husband and a parrot. A fable works by wrapping a specific agenda in a generic moral. It cleanly bypasses a target's skepticism, leading them toward a predetermined conclusion while they believe they are simply being entertained. The fable begins with a wealthy husband who is deeply devoted to his wife, unaware that she is habitually unfaithful. To watch over his home, the husband buys a parrot with a supernatural ability. It can perfectly recount every event it witnesses. When the husband leaves on a business trip, the parrot observes the wife's secret meetings. Upon his return, the bird provides an exact report of her misdeeds, leading the husband to confront and scold his wife. The wife realizes that her husband didn't rely on human informants. She identifies the parrot as a spy and understands that her survival now depends on discrediting the bird. An infallible witness is an existential threat to someone living a lie. As long as the bird's testimony is trusted, the wife's deception cannot exist. When the husband departs for another overnight journey, the wife prepares a sensory trap. She has one night to build a convincing, artificial world around the parrot's cage. First, she has her slaves turn a heavy stone handmill near the cage, creating a low, constant rumble that mimics the sound of thunder. Next, she directs others to pour water from the roof onto the cage, simulating the sound and pressure of a torrential downpour. Finally, slaves use a mirror to reflect flickering candlelight into the bird's eyes, creating the illusion of constant lightning strikes. The slaves maintain the illusion until morning. When the husband returns, he goes to the cage and asks the parrot what happened during the night. The bird tells the truth as it perceived it. It claims it spent the night suffering through a terrifying storm of thunder, rain, and lightning. The husband knows with absolute certainty that the night was clear and the weather was calm. Because the parrot's report contradicts his own lived experience, he concludes the bird has become a liar. Enraged by what he sees as a betrayal, the husband seizes the parrot and kills it, shattering the cage against the stone floor. It is only later that he discovers the truth of the slave's handiwork. He realized he was manipulated into killing the only witness that was actually telling him the truth. The wife's success didn't require her to prove the parrot was lying. She only had to manufacture evidence that made the parrot's truth look like a lie in the eyes of her husband. The story ends, and we return to the middle timeline, where the vizier is watching the Greek king process the fable. The king initially interprets the story as a warning against his own actions, a reminder not to execute the physician Dobin in a fit of prompted rage, only to regret it later. But the vizier immediately reframes the conclusion. He argues that while the husband's regret was sad, the risk of a king being deceived is far more dangerous than the death of one innocent bird. He insists that when a ruler's life is at stake, it is better to sacrifice the innocent than to risk saving the guilty. He uses the fable to suggest that the physician's very existence is the storm the king must eliminate. Both the wife and the vizier use the same strategy. One uses a sensory illusion to kill a parrot. The other uses a rhetorical illusion to kill a man. In both layers of the story, the actual facts are discarded. What remains is a demonstration of how a person in power can be led to a violent conclusion, simply by changing the story they believe they are living in.